Hello, I'm Harry Harding, and welcome to my new online series. These are troubling and uncertain times for actors, and indeed for the theatre industry. So I thought, whilst we're all locked down, I would keep in touch with my fellow creatives by talking about our favourite subject: ourselves. In this series, I'll be interviewing fellow actors and creatives on everything from their favourite roles to dream castings to funny backstage mishaps and more. But before we proceed, please don't swear, and please don't say Macbeth. Oh, hang on a minute. Cue the titles. My guest this episode is actor, writer, director Nicholas Benjamin. Nicholas attended the University of Exeter and in 2012 graduated with a degree in drama. Whilst at university, Nicholas threw himself into various projects, appearing in productions such as Wuthering Heights, Dracula and Stephen Burkoff's Messiah, before making his first appearance at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in the 2011 production of Hotel Remember. During this time, Nicholas developed his own brand of immersive theatre and style of directing. Based around meditation techniques, what started as an attempt to battle social anxiety led to a 4-year break into directing. Upon leaving Exeter, Nicholas continued his theatre work, appearing in productions of Twelfth Night, Journey's End and Romeo and Juliet. Nicholas's theatre work has taken him all over the world, with touring productions of Much Ado About Nothing, A Midsummer Night's Dream, Wuthering Heights and A Christmas Carol, performing in venues ranging from the Shanghai Theatre to the British Museum and the Cardiff Millennium Centre. In 2016, Nicholas's TV and film career began to take shape, with appearances in Sundance-nominated and BAFTA-winning shorts, international feature films and TV documentaries. In 2018, Nicholas won the Film Oxford Best Actor Award for his leading role in the comedy film Riff. Nicholas is also currently signed up to appear in a string of films for Sub Alley Productions, 2 self-penned shorts on domestic abuse, and multiple features for a new Norwegian production company. Welcome to the show. Please don't swear and please don't say Macbeth.
Don't worry, I won't. Thank you.
Excellent, good. So, first of all, Nick, how have you been? How have you been coping in lockdown?
With lockdown, I think everyone's got the inclination to sort of almost go, well, it doesn't matter anymore. I might as well catch up on sleep, rest, bust out the games console. You know how it is, that type of thing. So within the first 2 weeks of lockdown, I got myself a job at a local hospital as a cleaner. And that's sort of given me a bit of structure, which means that my creative side has now been put in a structure as well.
Right.
So like I'll work maybe from 7 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, come back, hour rest, and then I'll spend the rest of the evening doing admin, applying for roles, recording stuff. So yeah, it's pretty good balance at the moment.
So you really have been busy non-stop then, you know, no time for rest.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like I'm actually craving a holiday from the lockdown since I can have a day of doing nothing, which ironically, when we first started, I was adamant I didn't want that.
I mean, it's really brilliant that you've continued to work, maintained a full-time job and still very much kept yourself active with acting and theatre projects as well. Okay, so you graduated in 2012 with a degree in drama, as did I, coincidentally, same year, from the University of Exeter. Now, I've touched on this subject before, university training compared to drama school. So, do you think that your experience was the right experience for you? And do you think that the stigma of training at university instead of drama school is starting to lift now?
It's a very good question. I think, as you said before, it's a question that has been going on for years and years and years. To start off with, I got into a drama school as well. I got into a foundation year when I was looking at universities. And I did a lot of and in between the 1-year foundation degree and the 3-year drama degree.
Yeah.
And the main reason behind my decision was that 1 year, it would cram so much into it. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to develop as both an actor and as a person. And I think that's what university does allow you to do. The way I describe it sometimes is drama school gives you an amazing tool. So imagine that you open up a toolkit and drama school gives you an incredible hammer, say, a really well-defined hammer, but that's the one tool it gives you. Whereas university, if you open up toolbox again, it might give you not the best hammer in the world, but it will give you a spanner and a screwdriver as well. It gives you tools that perhaps aren't focused on within the drama school remit as much. So for me, that was my choice. And Exeter's great for that because after your first year, you can design your own degree. So you get to choose all of your own modules after that. So for instance, I specialised in Greek theatre, contemporary theatre. I tried to get onto the Shakespeare module, but it was completely oversubscribed. Autobiographical theatre was one of mine, and immersive theatre was another one I looked into. So as a result, I managed to touch on aspects that I wouldn't necessarily have got from a drama school education.
That is a fantastic metaphor, the toolbox and the hammer. That is brilliant. Did you make that up yourself, or did you?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying since I graduated. Yeah.
Honestly, I've never heard a more perfect description. I love that. I'm just gonna toolbox. Copyright Harry Harding 2020. Brilliant. So I mean, you're absolutely right about the university thing. That especially talking about the modules, so broad. Is there a particular module or a particular memory or moment from your university training that stands out for you?
Yeah, the first module that you have to do in your first year is compulsory for everyone. And what they do from that is they then look at how well you've done in that module. And rather than sort of grading you, they then put you into a different module for your second year. So the first module is called Play. And that is pretty much what you do. It takes you back to when we're all kids and we all started to play. We all pretended to be characters.
Right.
We created these worlds where we could do whatever we wanted. And in my mind, this is what they were trying to get at, is that for actors and creatives, we never left that world. We never sort of, most people sort of go through life and leave the play into one side, whereas we sort of went, no, I want to do this and try and make money out of it, basically. And the reason why it stands out was, one, it just sort of got rid of all your inhibitions. Keep in mind, when you arrive at uni, most people are, 18 or they've not reached their adult years as such. And you've been thrust into a unusual environment. You don't know anyone, you're still trying to find your feet. And the module just went, let loose, don't worry. And there are no boundaries here. And the first thing that did is that pretty much, I don't want to say it culled the year, because it didn't, but you realised the people that wanted to be there and the people that didn't want to be there. And yeah, and by the end of that module, you sort of learn a lot about yourself. Like the module that I got put in after that was Carnival, where I studied Commedia dell'arte. And that was when I started to get the inclination that maybe I've got a bit of comedy element to my performance. So yeah, that's probably the main moment.
I also studied commedia dell'arte, so I'm very familiar with that. Is there in your impressive acting career so far a favourite character that you've played, and why was that your favourite character?
That's a very difficult question. I think I think for me it's a bit of an odd one. So in 2016, I was in a touring production of Christmas Carol, and I played a variety of characters in that. Bob Cratchit was the main character. I also played a character called Dick Jenkins, who is a companion of Scrooge.
Oh, he's Ebenezer's best friend, isn't he?
That's the one.
Yeah.
But my favourite character, which is a character which is not in the actual book, was Scrooge's father. And in our version, the reason they gave for Scrooge being so horrible was that he had an alcoholic, abusive, and a hinted paedophile father, basically.
Right.
And keep in mind, it was a Christmas show, so obviously there was a big element of happiness, joy to the world, that type of stuff. But it was the one dark scene in the play. And for me, that was the first time I ever got cast as a completely unredeemable character. And I remember we had the stage came to review it. And when they got to reviewing me, they didn't actually mention Bob Cratchit in that much detail. They went into Scrooge's father and was like, he makes the character such an unrepentable, unlikable monster that when he emerges as Bob Cratchit, it's hard to feel sorry for him. So yeah, that was a real stretch to my acting, and the director I had for that production was absolutely amazing, and he really hammered that role into me. And it wasn't until later that I found out the reason he did that was because that was his favourite role in the script, and that was the role that he would want to play if he was in it himself.
So, as well as a successful actor and experienced writer, you're also a director, and you have a very unique style, which I have had the privilege to experience firsthand. So interestingly, your 4-year affair, shall we say, with directing, after you were married to acting for so long, it had an unusual creation. Could you tell us a bit more about that?
So I tried directing in my first year of uni, and it was a car crash, basically. There's one show at uni that I tried to push under the rug because it was awful. I wrote it and directed it, and yeah, it wasn't good. But at the same time, during that first year, I was going through some mental health issues, basically. I had some problems connecting socially with people.
Right.
I'm the sort of person that tries to please everyone. I try to latch onto a group of friends, and I tried almost too hard to be part of the group. And when that has the effect of the group maybe treating me not as I want to be treated, it would push me back quite a bit. But in my second year, I started working with an amazing bloke called Matthew Williams, who he was directing an immersive theatre piece, and he brought me on as a writer for that. So he started coming out with all of these Chekhovian techniques, all about getting into the mindset of the character, and all about almost taking on every aspect of that character whilst you're in the rehearsal room, and really building up the character's backstory. And I remember sitting there watching him in the first session, and I went, hang on, this is very meditation based, because at the time I was using a lot of meditation techniques anyway to try and get over my social anxiety. And I was like, well, okay, is there a way I can combine both his techniques and the meditation techniques? So as a result, over the years, I've developed this brand of directing, which it's all about, let's calm down, let's step out of you as a person, and let's mentally go into the character, and that mental state will then affect the physical state.
It's a brilliantly unique and original and refreshing style. In recent years, you've ventured successfully into the dark and dangerous realm of film and television. It's a realm that I personally avoid, through fear. But there is a huge difference there to stage acting, I think, and it's a difference that I think a lot of people outside of the industry perhaps don't see or realise. But those of us in the industry realise that they are hugely different. My question is, what is that like for you as an actor of both, as a stage actor and a film and television actor, as opposed to just one or the other? What is that like, balancing the two? And is there one that you perhaps slightly prefer now?
It's difficult balancing them, because especially if you are with how I've worked in the past and just the path my career has taken, it's not like I've spent half a year working solely on film and TV and the other half working on theatre. Unless you are a lead in a TV series, or you're signed to a major film that is going to take months and months, that doesn't happen. So a lot of the time I will spend, one day on set, the next day back in the rehearsal room.
Right.
And the disciplines, as you said, they are completely different.
Yeah.
If you go onto a film set with your stage actor head on, they'll tell you to tone it down because it's unrealistic.
Exactly.
And again, if you go onto a stage with your film acting head on, they will tell you to bring it forward a bit more, to bring it up because they can't see it. So the way I do it, and it goes back into my directing techniques, is whenever I step into either a performance space or on set, I have to go through deep breathing exercises and sort of go, right, I'm almost, one of the exercises I do with you quite a lot when we rehearse Dracula, is I do the level exercise. And level 10 is the biggest that this character can be. Level 1 is the subtlety. And I almost take myself, if it's for theatre, I take myself up to level 10. And if it's for film, I take myself back down again to level 1. And then I leave it to the director to go, okay, a bit more, a bit less. They both have their merits. So I love the fact that you can film something in a day and it's out there. Bish, bash, bosh, it's done. And usually in between being used on camera, if the film production company are any good, they will look after you well. You don't really get that in theatre work. There's a lot of waiting around, there's a lot of sort of going over lines and a lot of repetitive nature. But having said that, I do prefer the live element to theatre. There's no greater buzz than being on stage and hearing people laugh or hearing people gasp in shock at how horrible your character is. Yeah. So I think they've got both good elements to them.
A very diplomatic answer, so as not to offend the theatre world and the film world there. I'm going a bit off script here, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you prefer playing heroic leads or villains?
Villains. Easy. Villains all the way. Villains have the best lines, the best costumes, and the best energy on stage. And unfortunately, my casting isn't the stereotypical hero. I can do it, but it's not something I am naturally inclined to.
Right.
Villains I can step into very easily. I don't know what that says about me, but...
Do you feel like you are sometimes typecast? And if so, is there a particular type of role that you often get cast as, such as villain?
My casting is a bit strange. So you look at my headshots and you look at me as a person, I fit comedy. I fit the sort of, if you're doing panto casting, I am Buttons, I'm wishy-washy, I'm the foolish character. I find those roles incredibly easy to get. But I also tend to get typecast as psychopaths. Now, one of my favourite films at the moment is Joker, because at the start, he has all the elements of a comedy casting. He's got this very sort of Laurel and Hardy, maybe Charlie Chaplin feel to him. But by the end of it, he is a deadly psychopath. And I think people tend to think, okay, you're a comedy actor, so you can't do evil. But it's like, no, they are so close and so intertwined. Yeah. So as a result, if a director sort of peels back the first layer of me or sort of looks at my headshot at a different angle, they'll go, hang on, that smile is quite menacing in a certain light. So those are the two character types I tend to get cast as.
I only ever get cast as the comic relief sidekick or the bad guy, or in some productions, such as Much Ado About Nothing, both of those. And as for Joker, as you may have be able to tell from the title sequence of this very show, I am a bit of a fan of that film. Just before we move on, just going back to the film project, is there a standout film that you would choose as your personal favourite?
It has to be a film that I did last year. It's a short film called Old Man Dan, and it was a superhero film with a twist. It's based around a superhero whose main power is regeneration. He's like Wolverine. He can heal from any injury. But he's now sick and tired of being a superhero, so he's retired. And also, as a result of his regeneration, he doesn't age the same way as we do. So he's 120, say, and he looks like he's in his 20s. Now, my character in that was called Baby Man, and Baby Man was like a dark element of this character's psychology. So in one scene, the main guy is knocked unconscious, and he wakes up in a room with this demonic creature staring at him, dressed in a full-blown baby grow, and telling him that he needs to try harder and he needs to go down the path of a hero again. And again, I got cast in that last minute. The original guy backed out, I believe, and my friend was playing the lead. And there was no money in it. It was literally a freebie gig I did. And I turned up on set, not knowing what to expect. I did the actual scene in about 4 takes. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a really intense scene. And as a result, the director contacted me afterwards and said, I'm going to cast you in the next batch of my films. So that led to a leading role in a short film called The Piggies, which is a horror film, which I did at the start of this year. And yeah, it's led to other films that I've got booked in for the rest of the year.
So fantastic when a project that you loved and felt passionate about then leads to more work.
Yes.
Is there a dream role that you have always wanted to play? And if so, what is that role and why?
That's very tough, because I think there's about 3 of them which I would love to do in my career.
As it should, you can have
I can have the top 3, can I? So Jekyll and Hyde is up there. I've already played the role once before in a murder mystery, but I would love to do a proper in-depth character analysis on a production of that, and to really delve into the psychology behind that character. To play the ultimate good and evil next to each other would be absolutely amazing. I promise I won't say it, but can I get away with saying the character?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Don't say the name. We all know who you're talking about. I'm sure the millions of viewers at home know who you're talking about.
So the character that another character we want to play is the lead in the Scottish play.
Right.
Yeah. Just because, again, to get into the psychology behind him, and to especially look at the relationship between him and his wife in that play. It's been done so many different ways, and I'd love the chance to bring my own stamp onto it. And the third one is I would love to play Dr. Faust at some point.
Oh, okay.
I think when it has been done by some of the biggest names in the industry, they almost have a stereotypical way of doing it. Like, we all know Laurence Olivier's version of Hamlet, for instance. That seems to be one of the main ones. And I think, with these characters, I'd love to bring something different to them. Especially going back to the name I just mentioned, leading the Scottish play. Yeah. I think with him, he's often billed as a warrior type, but who is oddly submissive. And I've always said I want to bring in the reason why is he so submissive to his wife. For me, there is an underplayed story of guilt there between them. And it's like I would love to explore is, what makes these characters tick? Why do we always see them as the root of all evil, the root of all sin?
Those were some great answers, especially that second one. But at least you didn't say Macbeth. Anyway, are there any projects that you're working on at the moment?
First off, I can't come on your show without discussing Dracula, Mercer Dracula.
Right.
As everyone probably knows by now, we had to pull it literally a couple of days before we went up live. It's going to happen still. I'm adamant that it's definitely going to happen. If not this year, early next year. But obviously that requires admin work. I'm currently typing up reams and reams of notes that I have on it, and also looking at ways potentially we can push the characters a bit more, maybe bring in a few other elements of immersive theatre into it, because every immersive theatre production I've ever done, I've always been a big believer in never standing still. You have to continue to adapt and evolve. So I'm just looking back through my old immersive theatre productions going, is there anything else I can bring into this production? I'm currently in the process of writing and appearing in 2 films on domestic abuse as well, but focusing heavily on male domestic abuse. Because we all know it happens, but it's one of the things that I don't think is talked about for many reasons. I think that obviously the whole masculinity thing, and people going, well, you're a man, how can you be the victim of abuse? So I'm doing 2 films based on that. The director of Old Man Dan has signed me on for another film, which is shooting as soon as lockdown is lifted. It's a gangster film called Tractor Run. And I've also got a link to a Norwegian filmmaker who's talking about flying me out to Norway some point in this year or next year to be in a film called Total Paranoia.
Brilliant. It's such a beautiful country as well to be filming in.
Can't wait. I really can't wait.
Yeah, I bet. Well, Nicholas, thank you so much for coming on the show and for your time. It's been wonderful to chat to you and to share some memories with you. Stay well and stay safe.
You too, my friend. Thank you.
Take care. If you would like to appear in Series 2 of Don't Say Macbeth, then you can send me a private message on Facebook or Instagram. Or if you're lucky enough to have my telephone number, you can send me a WhatsApp message.